All right. Hey, everybody. Welcome back to the channel. This is Rob here at Smirking Gun Reviews. How's everybody doing out there? It's late. It's 11:38 here, which means it's like 12:38 if you're watching this on the East Coast. If you like what we're doing here on the channel, don't forget to hit the like and subscribe button. We're only 170 subscribers away from 2,000. It's very exciting. And so is tonight's episode. Um, because today we finally get to see June to safety. For right now, for the time being, for this moment. Kicking and screaming the whole way, understandably, finally, June is free. Physically. Mentally, I think that that's going to take quite a long time. I mean, if you look at how it took the length of time for other people that have been in Gilead for as long as they have been to feel normal, to feel like you're getting your life back to normal, can you ever really get it fully back after you've been experienced something like this that these women have all gone through? Probably not. You'll never shake this, but she's finally here. She's finally back. She's finally in Canada. But it's not like there wasn't a long journey in this 40-minute episode. Um, I was planning on kind of going off a little bit on how I feel about this season, but I'm just going to say that I'm just going to try to move past what I was feeling last week because I really was kind of feeling like, I don't know, maybe it was the shock of the end of the last episode, but this series is feeling like it's winding down, and so I'm just going to try to ride the wave all the way and not worry so much about how it should end, when it should end, all that stuff. One big complaint a lot of people are going to have, myself included. It doesn't really fit the story. I really wish that they still would have been able to find a way to work it in, though, is we don't know what happened to Janine. That is the biggest question that has been all week long. And I look at all the comment sections. I watch other people's videos. I talk to people who watch this show in my real life. The big question is, where's Janine? It's not, is June going to make it out? It's, is Janine alive? And if Janine's not alive, a lot of people are going to be crushed. Not unlike the other handmaids that got ran over by a train. Sorry, too soon. Because that's one of the things. I think it's not just Janine we want to be saved. It's the fact that none of the other handmaids are saved. And we need it. We need it. We need some kind of victory besides June. June's the hero. June's the title character. She's the star of the show, which also has been kind of, been a bit of point of contention with some viewers. Is June herself this year? But we really needed to know if Janine was alive, and we hopefully will get an answer to that sometime before the end of the season. But nobody usually means that somebody is fine. But in the world of The Handmaid's Tale, I feel like that could possibly be a detail that doesn't really matter. I feel like this is the kind of show that would just say so-and-so's dead. Sorry. But we've all become accustomed to that rule. Nobody, that person's not. So I'm going to keep the faith that we're going to see Janine in the 11th hour somewhere down the line here, and that she's doing well. And maybe that's being naive. But I think we all really need a win besides June getting out. Another thing I think, and I feel like I've been talking to someone who's read the latest book about the Handmaid's Tale's second book. I can't remember what it's called, Testament or something like that. Um, are we setting up the final season to be like where the book is? And if you don't know anything about the book, we're going to talk a little bit about it. I don't know details because I haven't read it. I'm not going to give spoilers away, really, other than to say that it's about Hannah and Nicole. Nicole trying to find Hannah in Gilead, and how in the story Nicole is much older, in her like I think it's in her like late teens, early 20s, to go back to Gilead and find Hannah. So could this whole rest of this season be setting that up to where the focus of season 5 will not be June, it will be her daughter? I think that's a really interesting way to end it. It would probably upset some people because we love Elizabeth Moss. Elizabeth Moss is an incredible actress, and I don't think she still gets enough credit for how good of an actress she is. She's incredible. I Mad Men, man. Like if it wasn't for Mad Men, I'd never know who Elizabeth Moss was. But she really really stole so many scenes in that show, and the China on top of the lake is another great one. She was really good in that crime drama with Melissa McCarthy. I can't remember what it's called right now at the top of my head, but she's still the ship. She's still. Maybe it's too late for me to try to make metaphors. She's still steering the ship of this show. And but I do feel like there's a very good chance that we might be saying goodbye to June in a lot of ways by the end of this season. That's just a prediction, a possibility, a speculative idea, because and one of the reasons I say that is because of what goes on in this, because she's out, but there's a price. Moira finds her. She's concussed. She's freaking out. And it's good to at least see that even in a concussed state, she is trying to prioritize Janine. She's also still trying to prioritize Hannah, but Moira, has to try to kind of trick her because she's concussed to come along. And this is a really powerful scene because we've got, this episode intercut with flashbacks to Moira and June pre-Luke, like pre-marriage to Luke, and what their life was like and how they were so close. And then you get the scene, where she's packing up and leaving, and that, that loss of that bond that they have, that she's going to lose, June to Luke. And then seeing her with Luke and that relationship and the them talking about how, they're going to have a kid. It's all those scenes are really, really good. With the relief workers there, this was also a really sad scene, watching the relief workers have to tell the people that are there who just want to get out, right? These are Americans who are stuck behind enemy lines and they just want to get the hell out. They're starving. Their kids are dying. Everybody just wants out, and they're just there to give food. Basically, it's the charity that Gilead's allowing to happen, to make sure that these people are still alive, but you can't do anything for them. You can only do so much. You can't take them with you. And it reminded me almost of like a zombie movie where they're grouped up and piled up on the fence just trying to get through, and by the time they're all leaving, they just the fences are knocked over and they're just charging through trying to get to the boat. But the real price to save June, once they get, Moira sneaks her onto the ship, the little tugboat, is that Gilead's reaction to it. Once Gilead knows that she's escaped, that she's made it to Canada, once it gets reported that she's out and she got help, and the only people that could have gotten her out were the relief workers, then no more relief for all those people. They probably won't even have jobs, as Moira's girlfriend puts it. That this would all be over once they know that June was in Canada's clutches. Now, this could be leading to, again, like I said, the setup for what happens for season 5, which would mean that June would have to go into hiding. They would have to keep her secret. Now, the show, that's kind of a probably a highly unlikely scenario, because I feel like the show is going to want to have her take a more, active role in stopping Gilead, and that would mean exposure. They would probably want her to testify against the Waterfords, that kind of thing. So exposure is probably necessary. Hiding is probably not an option for the show. It makes more sense in real life to hide someone that would have that kind of exposure, even if their testimony and their knowledge of Gilead is valuable. Now, they could still hide her and use her information, things that she knows, what she could tell them, what she could, remember. That could still be useful and keep her secret. But I don't know. Again, this is a TV show. It's a visual media, so keeping your main star, hidden while other things go on around her, it just doesn't really seem like it would probably work. But who knows? Who knows? But the whole conversation that they have to have, where they're like, the guys. I noticed it was the guys, right? They're like, turn her in. And the girls are the ones that are saying, keep her. And again, these guys have it's like the men just don't have any kind of clue at all. I also want to talk about how great Samira Wiley is in this. I loved her on Orange is the New Black. I loved her so much on that show. And I'm not going to say what happens on that show with her, but I'm glad to see that after she left Orange is the New Black to get another really great role. And in this episode, she is giving it 150%. The emotion she's going through. She has to go through the hard emotions because June, especially early in the episode, June's just not with it. And the realization that she's found this person that she shouldn't have found her. She went there, and I'm sure she was hoping, hey, maybe, she'd just fall out of the sky, and she did. But realistically, she probably didn't really think she was going to find her. And now, when you have you have her in your hand, arms ready to pull her free. The thing that you've been wanting, the thing that the audience has been wanting, is to get her out and not back into the clutches again, which June is very willing to do, to go right back in there because of wanting to get Hannah still. Moira has to have the strong one here, and her acting in this is just impeccable. Just freaking impeccable. Also the port inspection, which I thought was going to be a little more intense. It did seem for a second that if I did not say something, June was about to blow her own cover. But I do like, finally, June, because I actually talked about this with somebody and they didn't quite agree with me. But I said Hannah was scared of June and she lied about it to Janine. And there was a little bit of a discussion about this, whether or not that was true. And she admits it. Finally, after all this time, now that she's with Moira and she's freaking out, she finally says the truth. I saw Hannah. They brought me to her. She didn't recognize me. She was scared of me. And it's finally the realization that has to be, like, as horrifying as this must be for a parent. She is safer in the hands of Gilead right now than trying to go in there and get her out and get killed in the process, and maybe get her killed too. They will protect her as awful and loathsome as that is to say, it doesn't make it any less true. They protect their own. She's valuable to them. So finally having to let go of that for now is a horrible thing. And the guilt, the survivor's guilt that she has. I did all this for her, and I'm a failure. I'm a failure as a person and a mother, and and I have to show up to my husband that I've been fooling around on because I did what I had to do, and I don't even have the kid because that she has to be, we're supposed to kind of infer all these different feelings of that she's having. It's not just guilt about Hannah and everything else. It's everything that's happened, and now she's out and she doesn't have the kid, and that's 100% understandable. This episode is a big step up from the previous episode, as short as it was. It was concise. It didn't go all over the place. It was just about the one thing. We weren't talking about other people. We weren't following any other plots this episode. It was just about how do you leave? How do you finally leave without your kid? And Janine and all these question marks, and she feels like a failure. And this really, in my opinion, kind of rehumanized. It's a weird word to say about it. June is more, to me, like back on track. She's on the road to being back on track because I feel like she was really, really lost up until this moment where she finally sees Luke, cries, it confesses that she doesn't have Hannah, and finally, makes her first steps here towards to freedom, to getting off the boat, to being free. And as the reunion was a little underwhelming, but I think that in reality, this is what it looks like. The emotions are all there. Maybe you all felt it. I'm sure there are people that, when he came into the room, it was like your heart stopped. But for me, it was a little more, I was thinking about all the things that had led up to this and all the emotions that led up to this moment. All the ways that June had to get, all the things that June had to go through to get there mentally, to not get in that lifeboat and turn herself back in. Those were the bigger moments. Then it'll sink in more for her the longer she's free. But for me, it kind of just felt like I was exhausted for the character, that I didn't really have time to think that much about, oh, thank goodness she's, with Luke again. I really didn't care about all of that too much. But that's really it. That's really about it. And I didn't watch the trailer for next week, but this was a really great, concise episode that I do think is setting up where we're headed for June. But we'll see. We have not seen the Waterfords in a little bit, and we have not seen Janine, and I know Aunt Lydia and Lawrence and Nick, they're all still doing things. So we'll see what's going on next week. If you like this review, please hit the like button, comment, share, subscribe, hit the bell for all notifications. I want to thank everybody that has been commenting and watching these. Thank you so much. I know there's plenty of choices to watch, and I'm glad that a lot of you have decided to watch my channel for these videos. I really appreciate it. So thanks everybody, and we'll see you next week. Bye.